for you, Dawn, you've had to do so many interviews. You've probably done more interviews than I've done interviewing people. And I gotta say, are you annoyed at this point being asked all the time about promotion relegation?
Yeah, I really am. Are you going to ask me?
Okay. How do you feel about being asked about it?
Well, I used to get asked at every single interview about Miami. And now nobody asks me about Miami anymore. So you just accept it. I've learned, and I've got great, help.
Yeah, we got
with
looking over my shoulder, make sure we get the cue cards.
Dan
Yeah,
Cordemanch, our crack PR guy. But it's hard to remember, and it really is actually, Julie. It's hard because you do. Wednesday we had our launch of our 25th season, and there were 300 media people there, and Dan and Molly, your friend Molly,
yep, my roommate.
People sort of walk us through the 8 people that we had as spokespeople, from Beckham to Jorge Mas to other owners, run them through these interviews 15 minutes at a time, and you don't want to say the same thing 20 different times,
right.
And yet you realize when you're talking to the BBC, they don't really know what you're saying to Drinks With Binks, and they don't know what you're saying to ESPN and Fox and ABC and the like. And it requires a lot of patience and a lot of focus. On promotion relegation, I get asked that not just in every media interview. I spoke to a bunch of business leaders in Nashville, and this was on Saturday. And there was some English guy, and he said, "So, Commissioner, do you think we'll ever have promotion relegation?" I said, "How could we manage that in MLS today? Your team is going to invest $500, $600 million in building a stadium, building out staff, creating a training ground, and that requires." And I know this sounds too businessy, but the reality is, how could that team not be able to play against LA
right.
or Toronto or Vancouver or New York with the revenues that are associated with that, at least in the world we live in today? And, in the world of business, they have debt on their stadiums and all sorts of stuff. There's no way the system could support it. And then I reminded him that in Mexico, they just voted last week to eliminate promotion relegation for 5 years. And I think if you were going to start football or soccer leagues today, you wouldn't have it. But I understand, I accept, and I embrace, because I'm a big fan of global soccer, that the drama of going up and going down is part of the sort of the way the game is played around the world. And who knows, maybe, when you're doing this show and you're doing it live on some, on NBC,
way bigger than
and you
Fubo,
have
yeah.
1 million people watching it, right? And you're going to have 10-year-old kids sitting around.
Yeah, definitely not having 10 children.
Then I put it. That's probably true. I put that into the life's a long time. People have said to me when I first joined the game, soccer will never make it, neither will MLS. We proved them wrong. I've said we're likely never going to have promotion relegation. At some point, they might prove me wrong. And you got to have an open mind in life.
But Don, when you say that, it's like you're leaving the door open for all those purists to be like, "Oh, there's a chance."
Maybe. Not when I'm around.